Yes, on Public Intel Global Affairs, the gunman responsible for the deadly shoot in Texas sent messages about the attack minutes before it happened. The state governor says, Greg Abbott has said the gunman, that is Salvador Ramos, promised to shoot his grandmother and then shoot up a school. Meanwhile, reports have emerged that frustrated onlookers urged police to charge into the school to stop the attack, but they did not do so. And moving over to football security, the Football Association is working with police and security services to limit the prospect of disorder during the Nations League game between England and Germany in Munich on June 7th. There are concerns that further trouble could impact the joint United Kingdom and Ireland bid to host Euro in 2028. Following a spate of speech invasion domestically, the spotlight will be on fans traveling to the game next month. And in China, the Chinese government has proposed a sweeping regional security deal with a number of Pacific island nations amid concerns from the United States and its allies about Beijing's expanding reach in the region. The draft proposal sent by China to potential partners in the South Pacific calls for greater cooperation in security policing and cybersecurity and in economic development, among other areas. To analyze the global affairs with me, I am joined live via a Zoom call with Captain Okhai Akhigbe. Captain Okhai Akhigbe is Public Intel Global Affairs Analyst. Captain, welcome on board.
Yeah, okay, yes, I can.
Yes, let's start with the Texas shooting. What is your reaction about Texas shooting?
Yeah, I mean, it's another horrific incident that has happened in the United States, and it takes us all the way back down memory lane to 1999, the infamous now Columbine shooting, which left quite a number of kids dead. So this is another tragedy. I also recollect the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012, which left about 20 kids dead as well. And so it kind of brings to the fore, the whole question about security, the length and breadth of it, in terms of, being able to protect kids and other vulnerable individuals. Now, as you know, in the United States, gun control is a big issue. It's quite divisive as well between political parties and even the country itself, because you have the Southerners, states like Texas, where they have the opportunity to go into shops and actually purchase these arms, like we see in the case of Ramos. He was able to go into a store, legitimately purchase arms. And again, this is going to bring to the table this question on, how far can the regulation go in terms of being able to determine who has the right to purchase arms and who doesn't. It also kind of brings the same questions to the continent. In West Africa, there's an insane number that the United Nations has thrown out there in terms of illegitimate arms, that's light arms and small weapons, that are circulating within West Africa. And the question now is, how are we going to be able to curb the proliferation of these arms?
Okay, all right, Captain. I haven't seen the need for football security, but things are changing, and now there is just a need for this football security. What is the essence of this need? What is the essence for this? I would like to know.
Well, there are a couple of things to look at here. First of all, keep in mind that um, England and Germany have a long-standing rivalry that goes all the way back to the World Wars, especially World War II. But I mean, apart from the World War, in Europe as well, there's always been a huge rivalry between England on the one hand and Germany. But then in football, you also have those die-hard soccer fans, sometimes known as hooligans, who can actually create a lot of confusion and concerns for security. In fact, some of these individuals, are usually kind of listed by the security agencies who look out for them. And all this movement back and forth across the borders sometimes provides cover to other criminal groups to move people under the guise of football tourism. So there's definitely going to be a lot of concern. So while it's a game that a lot of people are looking forward to, the security agencies will be concerned and try to ensure that they can isolate those who have more nefarious intentions.
And yes, of course. And the thing is, the Football Association is working with police and security services to limit the prospect of disorder during the Nations League game between England and Germany, in Munich, come June 7. Now, there are concerns that further trouble could impact the joint UK and Ireland bid to host the Euro 2028. What other impact could come out of this?
Well, I think today, especially in Europe, there's always a concern when you have a large mass of people moving, especially cross-border. There's always the opportunity there for some criminal groups, whether they be terrorist group or far left, far right groups, to want to be able to incite some kind of commotion. And so there's definitely going to be that concern that some groups would want to take advantage of this great movement of people back and forth. So there is going to be that need to monitor these groups and to put in place all those kind of safeguards to forestall any criminal acts.
And yes, actually, now following up on China, where are they headed, Captain? China has proposed a sweeping regional security deal with a good number of Pacific Island nations amid concerns from the United States and its allies, about Beijing expanding reach in the region. Now, is this a sort of a bilateral security deal? Is this what we're looking at?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that China is definitely trying to expand its influence around the world. It's a superpower now, and it's definitely going to continue to expand that influence around countries in its own domain, but even beyond. We see China increasingly showing, its influence in Africa, and across Europe, even though it's being curtailed a little bit. So I guess we're going to see a lot of this happening in the coming months and years, for especially economic reasons, because China has shown that they're going to want to grow their economic power around the world, and that's going to consist of those kind of bilateral agreements, all kind of economic incentives to nations, especially third world nations that have a very shaky infrastructure. So yeah, we find that this is getting countries like the United States worried. They're trying to figure out what China's motives are. But hey, if they're a superpower, they're going to do what other superpowers have done in the past to extend their area of influence. So we can expect that to continue to happen. Now, whether this will lead to some kind of confrontation with the United States, only time can tell. But I do believe that at some point, yes, we will have some kind of confrontation, even though we've seen, like in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, we will have proxy conflicts where the superpowers will be on either side, and then they'll be lending their support to those conflicting nations.
Yes, may I also ask, what is the intelligence gathering of all of this with China? I just want to know.
Well, again, it's all just going to go down to the influence, isn't it? I mean, the United States has spoken out against China so many times, accusing China, kind of violating cybersecurity across the globe. And look, these days it's going to be very difficult to continue to police the web because the web keeps growing, and there's no standing law enforcement that's able to police the entire web. So we see that well, the Chinese will never actually come out to agree that they're involved in these things, but they're not the only ones that are involved in kind of trying to understand what is happening, affect what is happening on the internet. All the powers that have the means, the resources to do that, are doing that in the different ways that they can. Even, Julius Assange has actually even shown us that even individuals and corporate organizations do have the capacity to be able to gather, information off the web. Now, how this is applied, that's the big question. So You have criminal applications for this. You have other people using this for national security in terms of the way they gather information about other countries and organizations. So yes, so China definitely has been involved in this, but like I said, they're not the only ones that are doing this. A whole lot of those that have the means are doing this as well, even though kind of more undercover.
All right, Captain, thank you very much for coming to analyze all of these global affairs with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Victoria. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, you just listened to Captain Okhai Akhigbe, who is Public Intel Global Affairs Analyst. Coming up on next on Public Intel is Public Intel Go There. To stay with us.